Why, hello there. This is Michael coming at you with something a little bit different on my channel. I usually do the astrology and tarot readings at the beginning of each month, but I decided I wanted to kind of explore a different style of reading. And so I was really meditating on your energy, getting some channeled messages from your spirit guides, angels, ancestors, whoever it is that you kind of consider part of your team. And I was also receiving some clairvoyant visions or visuals that I'd like to share with all of you in addition to doing a little tarot reading, kind of bringing it back down to earth here. I really had kind of an interesting visual that came through for you earth signs. I saw this kind of cross, like these two intersecting lines, and in the very middle there was kind of this diamond shape. And when I noticed the diamond shape, it was like all of a sudden I was drawn into this diamond, and it was almost like I was in a tunnel, and it was like a tunnel with four walls, if you will, and down the tunnel there was like another cross and kind of the same thing, like this repeating pattern. And so what this made me think of is there's something about 4 points of your life coming together, and this actually makes me think of the 4 elements. And it's funny how I'm kind of breaking up these videos by element this month. But it's like having these 4 areas of your life come together, and like the major arcana, the magician, you're bringing together the 4 elements, and you are manifesting, you are creating something, you are bringing something new into the world. And it's almost like you're going through this warp drive. You are very much encroaching a portal if you are watching this video, and it feels like your life is about to change very, very quickly. Or if it feels like things are kind of stagnant and you feel sort of stuck, you need to reestablish your foundation, and things will happen very quickly again, and maybe even a little unexpectedly. I was also getting this message about creativity, and this actually came up quite a bit in the first video I did for the fire signs, and maybe it is because I'm recording this in Leo season, but again, whenever you are watching this video, it is meant for you. I feel like there was this energy where a lot of you are dealing with this sort of sabotage or inner critic. And the way I was understanding this energy, people either don't understand what it is that you created, or they didn't understand what you created when you were young, and it caused you to shut down to some sort of creative talent, or just some sort of special gift. If this isn't about creativity, this could be a gift for intuition, psychic abilities, healing abilities. There could be something, whatever it is that is a unique gift to you. It feels like it was misunderstood. And again, this message is very similar to the fire sign reading. So if you do have fire sign placements, whether that's your moon or rising sign, there may be something in there for you as well. But this feels very much about this message feels very much about doing your shadow work, actually. And this also applies to your romantic relationships. I'm getting this as well. It's not just your gifts, it's also your love life and your relationships. Some of you are subconsciously afraid of intimacy because in the past that has meant the loss of self. It's like you were kind of operating in a way where it's like you could either have your needs met or you could be with somebody else. It wasn't like an option to have both of your needs met. And that's kind of the relationship history or the upbringing I'm getting for you, that sort of narrative. There's this almost illusion of a choice that you need to make between you and another person. And I would actually argue, especially if you're watching this, if this feels like you will never be close to someone if you don't also have your own boundaries. And boundaries isn't just about you saying no. It's also about what makes you happy. It's about knowing yourself. It's about knowing where you begin and where you end. And really just having that strong sense of self. And knowing what your preferences are. Knowing what your likes and dislikes are. That's a part of boundaries too that not a lot of people really talk about. It's interesting how in 2022, everyone talks about boundaries, but it's almost like we don't actually know what that even means still. And so I'm feeling like for a lot of you, there was this confusion that having distance between you and someone else was the same thing as having a boundary, but it wasn't. It was just isolation. You are isolating yourselves. That's not a boundary, you guys. Sometimes it is. Sometimes you need to isolate yourself if your boundaries are being crossed. But I feel like for a lot of you, there's something with your throat chakra where you're having a hard time communicating or expressing yourself. So if you are having something come up with your throat, or you're just feeling like you're having a hard time accessing or speaking your truth, you may want to work with your throat chakra. And that's kind of what spirit is telling you as well. And it's interesting how like those 4 points kind of converged into a fifth, like a whole. That does kind of remind me of the fifth chakra as well. And with these sort of visuals that come to my mind, I always tell people in my personal readings or with my clients, these visions often have a metaphoric meaning, but they can also have a literal meaning. So if this sort of image means anything to you, like kind of the diamond shape or the cross shape, like specifically kind of Celtic cross sort of shape, please let me know in the comments down below. I'd be curious to hear how that makes sense, or just what this this quadruplicity means to you. So I'm going to pull some cards for you. I actually did just pick up the Starseed Oracle first, and I'm just going to trust that's the message that we need to open up with here. What are the messages for my earth signs, from their spirit guides, from their team? What do we need to understand? What do we need to understand? What messages to the people watching this right now? What do you want them to know? Interesting. So I have a few different messages here. We have all paths lead home. And again, that kind of reminds me of the number 4, because that's about foundations. And where is home for you? And this, interesting, on this card it says inner authority, intuition, turn your gaze within. Yeah, I feel like a lot of you, this is actually about relationships. I'm feeling like there is maybe a creative or gifted element to this as well, but it's almost like you've been focused in relationships where you've tried to fit in. And it kind of reminds me of Brene Brown. She is a psychologist, and she talks a lot about vulnerability. And one of the things she said is that fitting in is the opposite of belonging. You're never going to belong if you're trying to just fit in. And when I see inner authority and turning your gaze within and kind of this all paths lead home message, it's like you might have been spending years trying to find this community, trying to find these relationships, trying to find these friendships or these partners that feel like home. But until you honor your inner voice, until you open or commit to working through your throat chakra, it's like you're not going to be able to really connect with people. It's going to be fleeting. It's going to feel like it's hard to really root into a relationship or into a part of your life if you aren't being authentic to yourself first. And again, I feel like a lot of this comes from childhood for you specifically. We do also have the message, wait, it's not yet time. Things are being woven. And so some of you are being asked to wait. Some of you are being asked to sit with uncomfortable emotions and to kind of just let things incubate for a little while. I feel like some of you also have this kind of pressure where it's like your life needs to look a certain way by a specific age, especially if you're younger and watching this, like in your 20s or 30s or even 40s. It's like you feel like your life should be further along right now. It's kind of the sense I'm getting here. And I have the message cracked open here as well, which is rock bottom. Surrender to the alchemy of life. And it's interesting because when I was kind of connecting to your energy before I hit record, I really did get the sense that a lot of you were almost coming out of this dark night of the soul. And maybe this is still something that you are in. You might still be in a period of loss or grief or depression. And you've kind of been incubating in this for a while, and you're like, when will I be out of this? There is a little bit of a wait for some of you, but I feel like you're actually at this point where it's like, you know, something is about to shift. You know, something beautiful is about to begin. Some of you are afraid of following your purpose because you're afraid that will make you alone in some way or isolate you in some way. Surrender to the alchemy of life with cracked open, rock bottom. Yeah, I feel like a lot of you have already gone through this dark night of the soul. I feel like you are in the alchemical process of transforming this darkness, finding meaning in loss and grief, and creating new life out of this. I'm kind of getting vulture energy, actually. Vulture is an animal that can come up when we are in times of needing to find life in something that has perished or something that has ended, and sustaining ourselves with that, finding nourishment in that to continue something or to create something new. Interesting. I actually do want to go into the animal spirit deck here, the wild unknown. What are the messages we have for earth signs? Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Spirits, angels, and ancestors. What do we have for them? Show us clearly, please. We have the shark and the rabbit. It's really interesting. Something that comes to me right away with this combination, it's like some of you think you're acting very strong and tough, but it's almost like a story that you're telling yourself a little bit. Like, I'm being proactive in this situation because I'm like kind of in my power here. But it's more like you're kind of circling and waiting for an opportunity, actually. And maybe that's part of the wait message as well. Maybe you kind of need to circle around a situation before you go in for the kill. But with the rabbit, it's like, I feel like there's this fear for you to move forward, for you to have a conversation, for you to commit to something or someone. And maybe for some of you, there is actually someone kind of around you. There is this energy around you, or you just sense that there is this opportunity around you and that there is a big change coming. And it's almost like some of you are afraid of this. And I mean, not for nothing, we do have the cracked open card. We do have the rock bottom card. It's like, with this big change, it really could feel uncomfortable. But it's like, in being split open, you are sharing the light within yourself. And I feel like some of you are in the situation where it's like, you kind of need to moderate or find temperance with biding your time, waiting for the right moment, versus being afraid to act. And it's like, on some level, yeah, it might not actually be the perfect moment to act right now, or the ideal moment to act right now. But there's also this need to kind of do your shadow work and really ask yourself, am I holding back right now because it just feels like this isn't an effective time to move forward, or am I doing this from a place of fear? And I often tell my clients that if you're in a situation where you're trying to feel 100% sure about something, it's almost like a form of sabotage, in a way. Because it's very rare that something feels totally certain, even when we're really intuitive or psychic. In fact, it's almost a red flag, where if you're so sure and gung-ho about something, it's almost like you haven't really processed something yet. And you're kind of acting from a very reactive or very egotistical place. And I don't like that word because I think it kind of makes an enemy of ego, but it's like you're not actually sitting with yourself because you're a multifaceted being. There's going to be different parts of you that are excited about things and parts of you that are afraid of those very things. And that's kind of what it feels like with relationships. That kind of what it feels like with passion right now. It's like, you know, you're going to need to make a move, and it's like you have to deal with your fear now. And some of you are afraid of hitting a rock bottom. Some of you are afraid that the situation is going to get even worse, but I really don't get that for you, actually. I really feel like you're coming out of a very hard, sort of incubative time. And it feels like that's going to be happening within the next month or so from when you are watching this reading. I'm actually going to pull some tarot cards for you. Interesting how I felt drawn to the oracle cards. Let's see. What are the messages we have for earth signs? Show us clearly, please. And I am pulling from the Ethereal Visions Luna Tarot deck. What are the messages for my earth signs from Spirit? Please and thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this wisdom with all of us. Okay. Yep. A lot of what I've been saying already. We have the Two of Pentacles in the reverse. I really do read this, again, like a decision you feel like you need to make. You feel like you can't juggle both things. You can't have two things. And this is a general reading. It's going to be different for whoever is watching this. For some of you, it might be, I can't have power and love. I can't have myself and someone else too. I can't have my purpose and stability. Like, there's almost this thing where it's like, hold on. What I'm actually being told, what I'm actually receiving with this too, some of you are trying to have a little bit of two paths, a little bit of two things, but it's like in trying to do that, you're not seeing the full potential of either. How do I even explain that further? What example do I give for this? It's almost like, for a lot of people, we do have a specific balance. There's like a specific balance of things that we want to have in our life. There's purpose, there's love, there's relationships, there's security. It's like finding that right balance. I feel like you're trying to have an even split of something. But in this process, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, whoever you are watching this, maybe you don't even have one of those signs. It's like in trying to have both, in trying to have two things, especially if it's like this false sense of security, you're really just cheating yourself. And I have the Hanged Man here. Again, the sort of energy of obstacles. Some of you are feeling very stagnant. I think that's what this weight energy is. It almost feels like the universe is putting your life on pause. Like you're not allowed to progress forward in something. Like you're not allowed to progress in your career or deepen your connections or relationships. Like there's some sort of wall and there's some sort of blockage. And I feel like there really is this shadow work that you need to do, and it's only going to be like through introspection that you're really going to figure out how this is manifesting for you specifically. But I really want you to think about what it is that you want, and maybe even pause this video and think of all the kind of hypothetical ways why you might be afraid of those things. Because I feel like there's just this internal resistance, and it's being reflected back at you in your life. And if this message isn't for you, then maybe this isn't resonating. Maybe you should check out another reading. But I'm feeling like with the group I'm connecting with, I really do get this sense that there is this kind of resistance, this internal tugging. And it might feel like life is giving you the obstacle, that this is external on whatever path it is that you're on or whatever setback you're encountering. But it's almost like you need to ask yourself, why am I manifesting something that is a blockage? I feel like you're afraid of the thing you want. And because of that, you're trying to derive a sense of security from maybe a stable job or a certain relationship, and kind of making the most of like only having a little bit of what you want. But it's like you really do need to commit to your heart's desire. I really feel that for you. And it feels like with the Seven of Pentacles, it's interesting because the sort of setback I'm getting, it's almost like when you check off one thing on your to-do list and it just generates another thing. Like maybe that's this sort of stuck or stagnant energy. It's like you finish one task, but or you try to finish one task, and in that process it creates like three more. That's something I could potentially be getting too. There is work that you need to be doing, though. And I know that's not the message that people want to hear. People like to hear that they're receiving something, but it's like something is still incubating. Something is still taking more time. And when I actually see the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, this is, again, just kind of that energy of dragging your feet in the dirt. And it's like you're either doing this in a way that's causing you to stagnate, or you're getting so bogged down by details that you're not actually progressing anymore. And you're doing this subconsciously because you really need to be doing this sort of parts work. And I'm just going to say this now, like therapy is great. Like this might be something to talk to with a therapist or a mentor or a coach of some kind. Because I feel like there is a lot of you feeling stuck. Or even trapped, potentially, with the shark and the rabbit sort of energy. But it's interesting because it's like that shark can't really get to the rabbit. This rabbit is sort of paralyzed with fear. Like that look of like, I've been spotted. I see something. I hear something. But it's almost like that threat isn't real. I feel like some of you have had a hard time letting go of something. And it's almost like you tried starting something else or something new, but it's like you still haven't fully let go of this thing from the past. There's definitely a lot of reflection here and kind of a different perspective, I think, that you still need to gain before you can move forward. Let's clarify all of this a little bit more, because this is feeling still a little bit vague to me. Spirit, can we get any clarity? The moon. I mean, the tides are shifting. And when I think of the moon, it really is kind of like how our emotions can really affect our perception. And interesting how this is Artemis. Because even in this uncertainty, even this kind of dark energy, it's like, shoot your shot. Aim for what it is that you really want. And again, like, whatever it is that you're trying to gain clarity on before you take action, before you speak up or do something about it, it's almost like it's not going to make sense. And I am noticing the Five of Wands at the bottom of the deck here. So for some of you, there could be something with conflict as well, or competition. Some of you are afraid of conflict or competition. You're afraid of losing or getting hurt. And that's paralyzing you. What else do we have? What is this thing? What is this thing that we're supposed to aim towards? Yeah, Two of Wands in reverse. It's like, it's really hard for you to gain clarity right now. And I honestly think it's because you don't even know what your truth is. Or you're not even being completely honest with yourself, actually. With what it is that you want or what it is that you hope for. Like, some of you have told yourselves, like, I want this. But it's like you're not manifesting it. It's not coming. And it's almost like, well, why is that? And it's almost like that question is the answer right now for you. I feel like a lot of you need to take a leap of faith, actually. I kind of want to end this with a color healing card. I think that's going to give us some more clarity. And you can use these color healing cards in any way. They do come with a guided meditation. This is the secret language of color. But I'm just going to read them from the book and see what we have. Interesting. So we have Burgundy. Awaken your passion. Yeah, it feels like... It's almost like some of you are like, I can be happy with just a little bit of this. I can be happy if I just kind of dip my toe in this place or thing that I want. But I feel like you really need to awaken that passion. It's like some of you haven't even allowed yourself to be passionate. Because it's like, oh man, if I embrace my passion, it's going to be a lot of work. And that's just the story you're telling yourself. I'm not actually saying it's going to be a lot of work. I think it will be effort. But I think it will be really enjoyable for you, whatever this is. Or if this is just opening your heart to love, or to your partner, or to a friend. It's almost like allowing yourself to be vulnerable is the thing that makes you feel alive. And it's like finding this zest for life. Like, this is something that's going to help you, this card. So let's read it. Here we go. Burgundy connects you to your passion, vibrancy, and enthusiasm for life. It leads you to your life purpose and makes your dreams a reality. Burgundy also energizes you whenever you are feeling down, showing you your path when you feel lost. Awaken your passion with Burgundy. When you are passionate about something, your intuition, heart, and soul awakens. You start to experience clarity and purpose in your life. Spend some time connecting to your passion. Write down all the things you love or would love to do, feel, and experience. Wear something burgundy close to your heart, or create a special bracelet or jewelry for yourself that you can wear often to remind yourself of your passion. You can also make or purchase a picture of a burgundy circle. Every day, spend 5 minutes meditating on this circle, awakening your zest of life. Energize yourself by taking deep, connected breaths as you focus your attention on the color burgundy. Say, Divine Intelligence, please allow me to awaken my intuition, passion, and love for life, so that I can fulfill my extraordinary potential. Love that. I really think it's almost like that's the thing that's missing. It's not like knowledge. It's not a plan. That clarity isn't like knowing. It's a feeling. It's that passion. It's letting yourself just feel this aliveness, even if it's a little scary, even if it means risking failure or disappointment. Sorry, the video cut out there. I feel like we need to really look at this All Path Lead Home card. So let's see here. It's normal to look to the external world for answers and guidance. What's revolutionary is turning your gaze inward. You're being called to source your guidance from within, to study the terrain of your inner landscape, to develop a more reliable relationship with your soul. The more time you spend connecting with your soul, the deeper the connection will become. The challenge for empaths is staying connected to the world without cutting off from it. Told ya. The best way to do this is to develop a daily practice that helps you keep checking in, to draw on the wisdom within and let that be the authority in your life. If this card appears, you may be called to develop or switch up your spiritual practice, to get in the habit of turning your gaze within, getting centered for the day before consuming anything from the outside world, to start the day from a feeling of at-homeness, and throughout each day to find simple ways to keep coming home. This doesn't mean switching off from the realities of today's world. We need as many conscious people as possible living with their eyes wide open. Rather, it's a call to start your day from a place of connectedness, grace, and devotion. So when you go out into the world, and when you let the world in, you do so from an unshakable state of being, a state where you draw your strength, authority, and guidance from a place deep, deep within. How are you being called to turn your gaze within? And that does kind of remind me of this message I was getting for you, where it's having boundaries isn't having a wall. And I feel like you really do need to let the world in more. You need to have that kind of breath with life, that in and out, that exchange. And I feel like there is this need to kind of turn your gaze within. There is this need to do the shadow work. And that just feels kind of reiterated with this card. Anyways, those are all the messages I have for you this month. I hope that this was helpful. Be sure to hit like and subscribe. Again, I have all of the monthly horoscopes and tarot readings on my channel as well, so maybe there's something in there for you if you haven't checked those out yet. And I will see you all in the next video. You're welcome to book a reading or Reiki session with me using the links down below. And I am wishing you a great rest of your day. Take care.